The story begins in a very cold place, Alaska. Due to rapid global warming, the ice in this region began to slowly melt. The ice sheet became progressively thinner, and one day, a very ancient creature emerged from beneath it, a wyvern, an ice dragon. In a lake formed by the melting ice, a fisherman was cleaning a fish. While removing the bones from the fish, he cut his finger and put his hand in the water to clean the wound. As soon as a drop of blood touched the water, the dragon awakened. It had been trapped there for 10,000 years and was hungry, immediately attacking the fisherman. The unfortunate man tried to run, but the dragon cornered him and swallowed him whole. Near the accident site, there was a small town called Beavermills, where everything seemed completely normal. The days and nights in Alaska are much longer than elsewhere, and people from outside struggle there. One of them is Jake, who used to drive a truck but started working as a carpenter after his brother died in an accident. Jake was making some repairs in a small restaurant. Claire, a girl who worked at the restaurant, was watching him. Jake had been working for a while, so Claire thought about bringing him a coffee, but then David, a well-known doctor in town, interrupted. He took the coffee and asked Claire if she would like to go out with him one day. Claire refused him, probably for the 10th time. David, a little upset as always, left. Later, Claire apologized to Jake and said that coffee was for him. Jake said he understood what was going on, and she, with a slight smile, invited him to eat something inside. Jake was also hungry, so he agreed. Inside the restaurant, he met an elderly woman named Edna, who always ordered breakfast for two, for herself and her husband. She was the wife of the fisherman killed by the dragon, who still couldn't recover from the pain of his death. Claire noticed that Jake was also going through a similar sadness. She comforted him and said that his brother was probably happy wherever he was. Jake wasn't ready to talk about his brother, so he drank his coffee and went home. On the other side of town, a retired colonel was feeding his dog when the head of a huge deer fell from the sky into his yard. This quickly became news. With only one radio station operating in the area, its reporter spread the information, and everyone thought some playful kids might have done it, but it was actually a sign of the danger to come. Jake didn't pay much attention to the news and went back to his van. A little later, Dr. David showed up at his location. He looked at Jake's hand and said he would treat the wound. The treatment was just an excuse, actually. David wanted to find out if Jake liked Claire. Jake said no, stating that as soon as he received the insurance money from his brother's accident, he would leave that place, as he didn't come to settle down forever. The doctor was pleased and said he didn't need to pay, as he was the guest, and should let him know if he had any more problems. On the way back, David stopped the car near the forest to go to the bathroom, when suddenly, he heard a loud noise in the sky, and looking up, saw the ice dragon. The dragon approached the car and suddenly attacked the doctor. David ran into the forest and hid for a while. When he thought the dragon had gone, he returned to his car, but just as he was about to start the engine, the dragon reappeared and killed David. The next day, a local man named Huss went out to hunt in the forest. He saw strange tracks on the ground and also the droppings of a very large animal. No animal that size lived in the surrounding forest. A little later, the wyvern dragon appeared right in front of him. Hose fired his weapon, but the dragon slipped away. The sound of the shot was heard by Sheriff Dawson, who was talking to Jake outside the restaurant. Both followed the sound into the forest, where they found Hawes, who was terrified. Hawes said he had seen a huge monster in the sky and had barely escaped alive, as it was very large. The sheriff didn't believe him, thinking Hawes must be hallucinating, and just told him to go to the station and give a statement. At that moment, Jake saw a hand in the forest. The shirt and watch were exactly like Dr. David's. Jake had talked to him before, so he recognized it immediately. The sheriff couldn't understand what was happening. Meanwhile, Hose started talking again, claiming that monster was super dangerous and would kill everyone. Although they didn't have much evidence that a dragon existed, David's severely mutilated hand could not be ignored. The sheriff immediately called for an emergency meeting inside the restaurant, where he informed everyone that an unknown creature was attacking people in town. He didn't fully trust Hass's story, but still asked everyone to be careful and to stay inside their homes as much as possible. At that moment, Deputy Susie came in with the doctor's hand, which terrified everyone. The sheriff, in a stern manner, said that no one should enter the forest alone and that they should take care of themselves and their pets. The special city festival, which they celebrated every year, was approaching, so people began to ask the sheriff what they should do about it. At that moment, Jake intervened, questioning whether they had lost their minds. A man had died in that forest, and according to him, the festival could very well wait a few days. But the sheriff said that a stranger could not understand their traditions and that the festival would take place. He did this to prevent panic from spreading throughout the town. After the meeting, the sheriff received a call from a man named Thomas, saying that his farm was under attack. The sheriff immediately headed to the man's farm. Meanwhile, Colonel Travis was trying to find out who had thrown the deer's head into his yard when he saw a huge dragon flying in the sky. He immediately got into his jeep to inform the police, but the dragon suddenly appeared in the middle of the road. The colonel got out of the car with his gun and started shooting at the wyvern. None of the shots hit the wyvern, but the colonel was able to scare the dragon away, which flew off. After that, he went to town and told Deputy Susie everything, claiming that aliens were attacking their world. Susie thought the old man was crazy and asked the colonel to go home, but she thought maybe she should tell the sheriff. However, at that moment, the sheriff had arrived at the man's farm and couldn't answer the call. As soon as he entered the barn, he called for Thomas and slipped in a pool of blood, falling there, where he saw Thomas's dead body. He was not used to seeing so much bloodshed and was so frightened that he fainted. At the same time, the colonel ran to Hampton, who was working at the radio station. He told Hampton to quickly make an emergency announcement about the monster, but Hampton refused, saying she couldn't make such announcements without government permission. The colonel was furious about this, but there was nothing to be done. He then went to his friend Farley, who was preparing food for the festival, but he also did not believe the colonel's story. However, everyone soon believed him when the wyvern itself flew into town, landing right in front of the radio station. Upon seeing the dragon, Hampton immediately tried to send a distress message over the radio, but the dragon quickly destroyed the power pole, shutting down the entire radio system. At Thomas's farm, the sheriff regained consciousness and used his radio to order Susie to send everyone home. Susie followed the sheriff's order and made an announcement over the megaphone for everyone to return to their homes, but was unlucky. Suddenly, the enormous dragon descended upon her and attacked Susie in a swift motion, tearing her apart with its large claws. Now, everyone began to run from the dragon. Chaos spread through the town. Claire and Jake, who were in the restaurant, heard the screams and saw the dragon approaching them, breaking down the restaurant door with its large teeth. Fearful people hid behind the tables. After a while, the dragon stopped attacking and flew up, starting to grab and eat other people in the town. Shortly after, Hampton and Farley arrived at the restaurant and informed everyone that the dangerous creature was eating people one by one. That was when Claire said that it might be a dragon like in the old stories, and Hampton called her crazy for that. But Edna said that every country has stories about mysterious dragons, explaining that one of those dragons in old tales was called Wyvern, born in hell and constantly hungry. According to the story, in the beginning, this dragon only ate evil people, but its hunger grew so much that it began to eat everyone. Hose continued the story and told that when the dragon attacked Odin, the king of the gods, he imprisoned it in a mountain of ice. Now that the ice is melting all over the world, the wyvern might be free. Claire asked Hawes how he knew that story, and he replied that his family came from Norway, and those stories were from their country. When he was a child, he used to fish with his father, who said that as the ice melted, one could hear a roar like a dragon's. They were sure it was the wyvern that would one day come out and destroy the world. Then Jake asked if his father had told him how to kill that dragon, and Hose explained that he didn't know how to kill it, but the elders in Norway used to offer human sacrifices to appease it. Since doing that today is impossible, everyone rejected the idea. Jake decided that he would look for the sheriff and ask for help, and Claire decided to accompany him. They drove down the road and looked up, where they saw the dragon flying and landing in a part of the forest. Despite the danger, Jake said he would approach and see where the dragon was hiding. At the same time, the colonel was also looking for the dragon on another road when he saw a trailer parked alongside the road. The vehicle seemed empty, but there were bloodstains inside and out, as if there had been a struggle there. When he saw more cars, all were destroyed, and the people had disappeared. Inside the restaurant, Hampton was trying again to get the radio to work, but the system was completely shut down. Later, the sheriff returned to town, but there was destruction everywhere, and a huge pool of blood was near Susie's megaphone. He tried to ask for help, but then noticed that the dragon was flying directly towards him. Farley saw him and shouted for him to quickly hide in the restaurant. But just as the sheriff was about to enter, the dragon attacked him and took him away. At that moment, Jake arrived at the part of the forest where he had seen the dragon land. He gave Claire a gun and told her she should wait in the car while he would check. As he moved forward, he came across a vast dragon's nest, raised above the ruins left by the creature itself. Meanwhile, Claire waited for Jake in the car. Suddenly, she saw the dragon approaching her. She tried to hide, but the dragon broke the car door and started attacking her. Claire showed courage and fired her gun at it. Jake heard the shot and ran back, but when he got there, the car was empty and the dragon had vanished. The good news was that he spotted Claire in the middle of the forest, who had barely escaped from the dragon. A few seconds later, the colonel appeared, having also come because of the shot. He said that the cars were scattered all over the road, believing that the dragon wanted to prevent people from going out so it wouldn't run out of food. The only way to stop the dragon now was to kill it, but the colonel knew he couldn't do that alone. The three immediately returned to the town. Jake used a communicator to talk to Hampton, asking him to call the sheriff for help, but Hampton reported that the dragon had killed the sheriff. Jake began to think of a second plan. A little later, the three arrived at the restaurant and explained to everyone the location of the dragon's nest, but they also didn't have many weapons. They would have to talk to someone to ask for help, but the phone was not working. Then Hampton remembered he had a radio in his studio, but they would need a more powerful antenna. They figured there was an antenna in a nearby store, so the two quickly went there to get the antenna and connect it to the radio. Along the way, they saw the sheriff's car and grabbed the weapons and bullets inside to give to the colonel, who would distribute them among the survivors. Then they went to the store. Jake climbed on the roof and removed the 4 screws from the antenna. As he was unscrewing the screws one by one, the dragon appeared again. Only 1 screw was left, so Hampton took his gun and shot at the dragon to help Jake, which gave him more time to remove the antenna. They both quickly returned to the restaurant, barely escaping the dragon. As soon as they entered the restaurant, Hampton connected the antenna to the radio. Jake tuned to the radio frequency and spoke with the security agency that was there, but the signal was too weak to reach far, and the agent kept asking what was happening. But Jake thought people wouldn't believe the truth about the dragon anyway. Therefore, he pretended to be the sheriff and said that there had been a massive gas explosion there, and they couldn't communicate with many people, stating that they desperately needed help and that they should send help quickly. Just then, the signal was lost again, and the conversation couldn't be completed. Now, they were on their own, so Jake decided they needed to fight the dragon, and everyone needed to gather weapons as quickly as possible. Everyone agreed to the plan and prepared. Farley and Hawes went to get fuel. Just at that moment, the dragon landed on a house. Farley panicked, and the dragon hit him with its tail, causing him a very serious injury. Jake immediately ran out of the restaurant to save him, while everyone else continued to attack the dragon. Meanwhile, in the dragon's nest, we see Dr. David, who was actually alive. The dragon hadn't killed him. He took off his tie and quickly tied it around his hand to minimize the bleeding. When he stood up, he saw the dragon eggs. But before he could do anything, the dragon returned and grabbed him with its teeth, taking him back to the town. After the dragon left, Claire and Jake drank coffee and rested a bit. They were talking when Hose suddenly said that the wyvern had returned. Everyone looked outside and saw the dragon dropping David on the ground, as if it wanted them to come out and get him. Jake knew the dragon was doing that to trap them, but even so, he couldn't let David die like that, so he went out to save him. When the dragon attacked Jake, he quickly fired his gun. Hose and the colonel also shot several times, but the dragon was moving rapidly. Despite being injured, Farley went out and distracted the dragon, and the plan worked. He manages to get the creature's attention. Jake was able to get David to the cafe, but then the dragon grabbed Farley and took him to its nest. Everyone was sad to lose another friend. A little later, a message came over the radio from the authorities, informing that a rescue helicopter had been dispatched. But as soon as the helicopter approached the town, the dragon returned, attacked the helicopter, killed the pilot, and destroyed the aircraft. Once again, the townspeople were alone. Claire called her friends because David was seriously injured. In his last breaths, David said something important about there being 3 eggs inside that nest. His condition was worsening rapidly. Jake told everyone they would go into the forest and destroy the dragon and its eggs, because once its offspring were born, it would be impossible to stop them. Jake asked Edna to stay put while everyone else headed into the forest. After a long journey, they reached the forest and found a generator that could create a dangerous electrical current. Maybe this would be enough to kill the dragon and the eggs. Hampton prepared something to reconnect the generator. Everyone was ready, and Jake was about to pull the lever when the dragon landed again and hit them with its blade-like tail. Jake, the Colonel, and Claire shot intensely at the dragon while Hampton tried to activate the generator, but the trap failed and the dragon slipped away. Everyone then saw Hose's dead body, and the Colonel became desperate, starting to shoot uncontrollably at the eggs. Jake stopped him and said the eggs could still be used as bait to lure the dragon back there. They then moved further down the road and saw more cars, including a huge cargo truck parked there. Jake had an idea, as the truck could be used to catch the dragon. He decided he would do this alone, so that everyone else would be safe, especially Claire, for whom he had started to develop feelings. Jake loaded the eggs onto the truck and started driving at full speed, honking along the way to attract the dragon's attention. A few miles later, the dragon fell into the trap and began attacking the truck. Jake hit the brakes, and the rapidly approaching dragon collided with the back of the truck. Jake started driving again, but the dragon was injured, though not severely, and it came back to pursue him, sitting in front of the windshield. Jake did not give up, and they reached a large cliff, where, driving the truck at full speed, he jumped out of the truck at the last second while the truck plummeted over the cliff. There was a massive explosion when the truck hit the bottom with the dragon and the eggs, destroying both. Thus, the dangerous ice dragon named Wyvern was defeated. In the middle of the town, all the survivors, especially Claire, awaited Jake's return. A little later, when Jake returned, he told everyone that the danger had passed and that he decided to stay in town a bit longer with Claire.